Nicola Masini, and this is vlog. In this vlog, we are going to do the usual yearly review of C3i magazine. This is issue number 36, and it is a very special issue because it's the 40th anniversary of C3i, and also very special issue for me because this is a gift from Roger McGowan, a gift for my own article that you will find in this issue. I really want to thank Roger for having sent me this copy all over the ocean, and also it is important since my article has these things of an ocean apart. This is the title. You will see why, and I really thank him. And it's been a pleasure and an honor to write for C3i magazine for the second time. Maybe it will not be the last time. We will see. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Here we are. We begin with our review. The first article of this issue is the editorial from the editor's desk. It's Roger speaking to us and remembering the beginning of C3i 30 years ago. And it is amazing because, okay, we all know Roger he's not a veteran of wargames. He's just a pillar of the wargaming community, of the global wargaming community. He has been around really since the beginnings. So yes, he's a gentleman of his age, but he has a very young heart, and he remembers to us how even the doubts, the perplexities of his friends of, oh no, you are going to start another magazine. 30 years ago, you have to remember that was really the dark age of wargames. Almost nobody was playing wargames anymore. But Roger said, okay, there is this thing, this desktop publishing thing, this digital publishing thing. Maybe with that we can cut costs, we can have a magazine just like Fire Movement and possibly even better. And he was a pioneer on that field. And even today, he tells us in this editorial, we still have this great thing, technology, digital technologies. We can use that to digitalize the old issues of C3i, make them readily available, and still this C3i issue is here thanks to computer, thanks to digital technology. We have a lot of people from all over the world, and personally, I am one of those people from all over the world who is contributing to C3i thanks to the digital technologies. And Sir Roger really is a young heart. He really still is a pioneer, an innovative soul, and he really knows how to stay at the forefront of innovation of the wargaming community. Even today, he is more than an asset for all of us. He really is a treasure, and he is really, really a true gentleman. And I'm very happy I got to call him a friend, and I'm very happy for having had the honor and pleasure of know him and having to work with him on this issue, to give my personal contribution to these issues and the C3i issues, and also to his work about wargaming. Really a great guy, really. And great guy that publishes this great magazine, and this is the index, the table of contents for this magazine. I keep it here so that you can pause the video and look at all the great contents. Very important also the inserts. So it is a really a great issue. Let's start with, well, okay, we all know another guy, another young guy, young name of wargaming, Mark Herman, the great Mark Herman, in his Clear's Corner. And also, a thing I really love is how we have all the numbers and the bibliographical. This is very important for people like me who write essays and books and articles about wargaming. We have all the index of the past issues of this column, Clear's Corner, and this column, in this column, Mark Herman speaks to us about the relationship between historiography and war games, and wargame design in particular. And in particular, this article deals with CRTs, how to resolve chaos. A lot of people say, wargame, you're throwing so many dice, it is arbitrary. This is what I like to call ponderated randomness. That is, yes, it is random, but this stuff, the CRT, captures what the game designer thinks about the events he or she is representing. This is the historiographic view of the game designer about the events represented in the game that is being created. Why? Because a CRT about, for example, about World War One will be totally different from a CRT about World War II, and also the modifiers, how much of being in a forest or in a town influences the outcomes of combat. Double, triple, +1, +2. This is the historiographic view, opinion of the game designer about the events. And in this article, I'm not going to show you every single word of the article, but because please buy this magazine. This is almost a required purchase, really. This is very important, absolutely. And in this article, Mark speaks to us how he deals with the design of CRT, and also the different types of CRTs, and also is the disaggregated CRT he's working on for his Rebel Fury series. And I'm waiting for this. That comes from his Gettysburg and Waterloo games, and these two steps CRT in Rebel Fury really is the essence of the work by Mark Harmony on the CRT, and you will find that in this article. Next article, Jason Matthews, an essay about the situation in the Horn of Africa, Twilight Struggle, Red Sea, has just been published. Many consider it as an intro game to Twilight Struggle. Personally, I don't have the game. I read the rules, and I consider that a game in its own right. And this is the strategic and historical analysis by Jason Matthews about the Horn of Africa. Very, very interesting. And yes, for the fans of the game, but not just for them. Then we start off with the articles about the history of wargaming. Randall Reed, game designer and developer for Avalon Hill, for a lot of stupendous games, lots of classics, and really an interesting read. Also to see how this first generation of wargame designers really were, once again, innovative guys. I still say that tradition in wargames, there is a tradition for innovation, for experimentation, and in this interview it really shows up. And come on, he's the guy who designed this game that everybody has played at least once, Longest Day. So really a great interview, a great and interesting interview. And another small advertising for this. Okay, I have all those 3 boxes, of course. Then my dear friend, another dear friend, Harold Buchanan. I've just been a guest at the East Corner Spring Deployment Virtual Convention, and thank you again, Harold Buchanan, for having set up the schedule so that even as the European Wargames could enjoy this great convention of yours. I've been a host for the morning coffee. I stepped in for Fred Servallo, who unfortunately was sick. He could not attend, but I was I was ready, and I was happy to try to substitute for Fred. But also I held my own historical panel about Inferno, and you are going to see that. I don't know. Possibly I will have already published the video about the panel, or the historical panel for Inferno on the channel. I don't know if this video about C3i will come before or after. Anyway, It will be on the channel. You will see. It was a great convention. And this is a great article by Errol Buchanan on how should we just play the rulebook as it is, or should we experiment? This is a thing that I spoke a lot, very often in my essays, my books and articles. It was what I like to call the secondary game design. The gamers themselves introduce variants or house rules, options, and they change the modifiers. This is a very interesting article, and really stands for an open conception of wargames, such as the one held by Harold, and I really share his view on this aspect. Then there is a special about the blind sword system, great system by Herman Lattman. And from this system, you got also the basic concepts for a most spiritual sacrifice. This is an article by C3i about a greater victory, South Mountain. Great game, great system, a bit more tactical, made for smaller battles than the entire Gettysburg, such as most spiritual sacrifice, but still a very good system for the American Civil War fans out there, and not just for them. It is very detailed, very granular, but also very playable, amazingly playable. So very interesting. Also another article on Pereville by Jeff Grossman. Very interesting. This is the portion of the segment of the magazine that is dedicated to the ACW fans out there, and they are historical articles, very interesting on their own right. Still, Mark Herman that teaches us in a very long and detailed article the Japanese opening tax in Pacific War. Pacific War is a classic title by Victory Games, and it has been republished by GMT just recently. And here Mark, that's his opinion on the possible Japanese opening tax. It is a very detailed and argumented article, but it is also very interesting, not just for the fans of the game, but also for those who are interested in historical aspects, also on how they are modeled in the game, how about submarine warfare model and other aspects of this particular theater. Then an article by Dan Forney, and he is the author on many modules for Great Battles of History, but also for the 1944 games by Worthington Publishing. So both heavy war games, very simulative war games, and very light war games on the other side. Once again, traditional war games, highly diversified, highly experimental, highly innovative. And this article really surprised me. Why? Because this is the Beres campaign, Second Punic War, the Scipio brothers, that is the father and uncle of Scipio Africanus. Those who know me, I think now, even outside of Italy, know my personal obsession with Scipio Africanus. I am with little art, considering him a general greater even than Napoleon. This is the unfortunate campaign in Hispania, in modern Spain, by his father and his uncle, and then Scipio will come back to Spain to avenge his father and his uncle that were killed in this campaign against the Hasdrubal's Carthaginian forces. This is the beginning of the Second Punic War, and we will get, I'm doing that to you, here he is, a new game in future C3i, but therefore using the system, the Waterloo campaign 1850, Mark Herman's system, and the one used in Rebel Fury, also used by CSL for his Marlatur game. I can't say how much I anticipated this game. I really am anticipating. I'm really eager to play this game. So seeing that system, the Telegram system, used for, here we go, for the Second Punic War, the ancients, oh my, really. Another interview interview, hobby history, Charlie Keebler, great graphic and visual artist. And you see, Charlie Keebler arrived at Avalon Hill during a fertile period of design and innovation. Once again, Radio Saint-Nazaire, Battle of Fontenoy. This great guy, really, I can't tell how much I love this interview. And yeah, my own article, Notion Apart, Wargaming in the Land of Eurogames. You know, the history for this article was that Roger asked me, well, why don't you do an article about the original wargaming in Italy? And I said, okay, yes, that could be done. But then I thought, oh my, there's so much stuff to tell, so many things. And really, possibly it will get even boring to say, okay, there was this one and this one and this one. So I said, okay, let's find a single line of analysis, a single argument to build upon it. The argument is how in Italy and in Europe wargaming evolved and now, even now, still lives with the dominance of what we call the Eurogames. Okay, this is an highly accessible, a bit more abstract games. How does it lives with it, with these kind of games? What is the relationship? Is there a relationship? Are those categories really useful or not? And so I began speaking about this, about the origins of wargaming in Italy. One of the many, there are so much more material, so many more names to say, but this particular line that was embodied by this magazine. Outside of Italy, I don't know, in Europe it is very well known, is Pergioco. As a game, this cannot be translated. This was a mainstream gaming magazine of the early 80s. And in this you got articles about war games, role-playing games, traditional games, historical games, everything, origami, Go, chess, checkers, everything together. And there was no speech about is this a war game or not, is this a category, or people here, they asked themselves just two things. Is this a war game? Is this a good game? They didn't say, is this a war game? Is this a good game? And also, if this is an historical game, does it really capture the essence of the historical events? And only after that they asked, to capture those events, does it use axes or squares or areas or point to point or cards? All those questions came after. This was the approach of Pergioco. In this peculiar approach, games were considered cultural paradox. There were many writers and journalists that wrote about games. One of them was my father, and the name is a passage which it is really affects my familiar history. And in this, he remembers how my father, at the end of the 70s, approached one of the greatest academic historians of Italy, Giuseppe Galasso, with Avellin's Waterloo, and Galasso wrote an article about it on L'Espresso. That is a very mainstream, considered just like Time magazine. So they're having a war game on one of the main articles of Time magazine. This happened. My father later, thanks to this success, wrote one of the very first books about war games in Italy, Le Guerre di Carta, Paper Wars. Recently, we have published the second edition, Paper Wars 2.0. And this opened to him the pages of Pergioco that was just starting. In Pergioco, the chief editor of Pergioco was Marco Donadoni. Yes, the guy that created the international team and all those games. So in this article, I speak about this. I speak also about France and Spain, about le jeu stratégie and other things. I speak about what remains of that heritage today with our friends at San Marino, with the friends of the Casus Belli Club, and their column on the Storia di Guerra e Guerrieri magazine now, and they have war games out there, and of the Io Gioco magazine. I speak about all of this, speak about the Alia magazine in Spain, etc. But here's where it all started. Once again, a vision of war games where nobody asked, is this a war game or not, before playing a game, but where everybody asked, is this a good game? Does it really represent historical events? Okay, yeah. How does it represent those events? That was the approach of Pergioco. This is the approach that I am following now, that I will be sponsoring, I will be supporting, that I am supporting in our Facebook group in Italy, Ludo Storia, the Facebook group that I created together with some of my friends, joining together all the different forms of historical games, war games, miniature games, historical Euro games, role-playing games with an historical setting. It doesn't matter. Does it represent history? Is it really a good game? Then we speak about it. And this is an article. Also, in this article, there is my own personal opinion, and it has been reported also by the guys by other websites. I'm very happy for that. About how, in the current environment, we as wargamers, we don't have to change our hobby. We just have to present it in a more positive way. Why? Because it is a great hobby, and it is nice, and it is accessible. There are war games for everyone. It is not just highly complicated games. There are so many games. It doesn't matter. Yes, we like highly complicated games, but there are a lot of great historical games. There are a few pages of rules, just like the original SPQR games and traditional games, and so the possibilities are endless, and they are for everybody. And this is happening, and I've seen that on the SD EastCon Spring Deployment Convention. Okay, let's go on with our articles. These are articles by Andy Nunez dedicated to Matt McLaughlin, War and Peace, 40 years, and then Napoleonic Wars, and we are all waiting for a new edition. For the new edition you promised to us, Mark McLaughlin. Really, get it out already. We are waiting for it. Very interesting article and analysis. Another article, very interesting, James Buckley, simulation or stimulation. This is another approach to the problem of wargames, on living wargames in a modern environment. In this article, James proposes to change our own attitude to wargames. I agree on some points, disagree on others, but it doesn't matter. It is really interesting to have a discussion. And this is an article that is important to read and to understand. Do we really simulate, or are we just stimulate? Do we look for simulation for actual historical representation of historical events? Or are we just looking for new intellectual stimulation? Everybody's own take. I have my own. I will discuss about it. But it is interesting to have this article. It's important to have this article. Trip aboard to the SD EastCon 2022. It was a live convention by Eric Buchanan and the guys at San Diego. Great convention. And I've not been there, regretfully. But here we have Mark Hammond. Oh, and the EastCon guys are they are organizing a trip to Massachusetts this August. A 3-day great, absolutely great event, great live event. You will find the description in the info for that event. It's a limited number event in the description of my video regarding the panel, historical panel for Inferno. And after that, a tribute to the great John Prados, game designer of this stuff here. Maybe you know that game. And it has been a sad loss, a very grievous loss. But he is remembered as a show on the pages of C3i. Last but not least, of any means, a short article by Gary Hardwolf Mangel on the rebirth on the renovation of the CSR Awards, the Charles Awards. I am the in the board of governors of Charles Award. Believe me, we are doing a lot of work, but we could not do all that work without Gary. Gary is a fantastic leader. He really coordinated all our efforts, all our energies towards the goal of making the CSR once again even better and get them to be really the reference award for war games. An interesting article, and follow us of the Charles Roberts Awards. So after that, this is the magazine. This is the insert, Desert Victory by Trevor Bender. This is a game about the entire North African campaign, very short, even if the rules are a bit conversational, I would say. They're a bit on the talkative side. Maybe this could make it a bit difficult finding the exact truth, but it is very interesting, very easy, very simple, a very nice game. I really look forward upon playing it. I played the Kursk game on this system, and I really anticipate playing Desert Victory. North Africa, another passion of mine. Good components. You see a large map, very large. No, a map is a standard map. It just has a few hexagons, and with the hexagons that are really big, so that you have no problems on playing it. These are the player red chart, top components. So, and please allow me a bit of national pride. Another Italian, Fabio Bernardini, with his game variant for SPQR, Great Battles of History of Skirmishers, Velites, and Light Troops. Personally, I like. I'm not so much a Great Battles of History player. Maybe it won't surprise you that I really like the simple Great Battles of History. Anyway, this is very interesting variant. Once again, just as the article of my dear friend Harold Buchanan, a variant analysis for light troops. And erase, and okay, so that you can pause the video for a moment so that you can see it. This is the counter sheet, lots of counters, not so many counters actually, for there's a victory, some errata for, this is the counter sheet, some errata for Pacific War, and the additional counters for the variants of Great Battles of History. This is the back of the counter sheet, so that you can pause and see what's inside. Okay. This was my yearly usual review of C3i magazine. This is issue 36, really an issue not to be missed, not just because there is my article, well, even also because there is my article, and that speaks about the history of wargaming in Italy, but also of possible ways of dealing with the growth of Euro games. It is a fantastic issue. Really a fantastic issue for a fantastic magazine. I deeply recommend it. For me, it is an unusual purchase this year. I just got this as a gift from Roger. Anyway, there are my own personal copies already arriving here in Italy, and for me and my father. So, this was the yearly review of C3i magazine. This is vlog, and as usual, goodbye everybody, have a wonderful time, and as always, remember, don't be scared, it's just war games. Ciao.